Well, good evening, boys and ghouls. Today's story, I'll be taking you into the world of the supernatural with aliens. So, this story begins with young 5-year-old Gracie. Now, every day at about 4 o'clock, she would go play outside because she knew her dad was going to get home at 4:30. So, every day, like clockwork, never, ever, ever a minute off, he would get home 4:30. So, this afternoon she was waiting and he didn't get home. So it got later and later and she started to worry, and she went and told her mom, where's daddy? He hasn't come home. And the mom started to worry, so she started calling to his work. Hey, is he still there? And they said, no, he took off like normal, the same time he always does. He didn't come home till 2 hours later. He finally drove up. So young Gracie, she's like, panicking, like, what's going on? Is he okay? So dad comes inside and mom starts telling him, like, what happened? Where were you? You're late. We were waiting for you. It's been hours. And he says, what are you talking about? I came straight home. And the mom's just thinking, how are you going to say that? It's 2 hours. 2 whole hours you're late. You're going to say you came straight home? I can't believe that. I called to your work. They said you left on time. Where did you go? What happened? He keeps saying, I don't understand. I came straight home. I left the same time I always do, and I came straight home. So while she's interrogating him and asking him more questions, trying to see, like, where could he have been, and he's taking off his shirt because he's going to go take a shower since he got home from work. And she just is appalled. She jumps back. And young Gracie, too, she's looking. On his back, there were figures of little diamond shapes, all over his back. It looked like a whole grid of diamond shapes. And the wife says, what happened to you? It looks like these are burns. Like, you have to remember what happened to you. How did you get those burns? And he's saying, what burns? I don't feel anything. I don't understand. And he turns his back and he's looking in the mirror and he's like, I don't know what that is. I don't know how I got that. And she goes, well, you're still 2 hours late. What happened? And he had no explanation. He could not explain it. So the wife, she still keeps telling the whole family, like, I don't know what happened to him. He has to be lying. What could have happened to him? He says he doesn't remember. He says he came straight home. And the story went on and on for months. Well, 4 months later, while the wife, mom, was at the grocery store, she picks up a tabloid paper, one of those old papers, the Enquirer, where it talks about people's stories such as alien abductions. And as she's turning the pages, there's a picture of a man who says that he was abducted by aliens, and on his back was a big diamond shaped burn similar to the ones that he had come home with. That man had one giant diamond shape on his back. Now, Gracie's dad had a whole grid of them, like a whole lot of them. Now, that whole grid, they had blistered and then no scars. It was gone. Now, in the past, there have been stories where people have had pattern markings on them after being abducted. There's a famous case where a man said that he had approached a spaceship and that he had gotten burns. They were radiation burns. And the burns did look like a grid. It looked very similar to the diamond shapes that were on Gracie's dad's back. So one weekend when Gracie's playing outside, and it's many years later, she's playing outside and she suddenly feels like if there's some type of presence hovering around her. So she turns around and she sees a cylinder-shaped ship hovering right over the tree line, over her neighbor's house. And she doesn't want to blink. She doesn't want to move because she doesn't want it to go away and for her to think that it's her imagination. Now, Gracie is already older and she's telling herself, this can't be what I think I'm seeing, but it is. And her mom starts yelling at her through the window, come inside. And Gracie's saying, no, mom, you come outside. You need to see this. Please, can you see it? And the mom can't stick her head out the screen. She's trying. She goes, I see something, but I can't see what it is. She's like, Mom, come outside. You need to see it. It's a spaceship. And Mom doesn't want to blink her eyes and take her eyes off Gracie either. She just won't get away from the window. She's keeping an eye on Gracie. She doesn't want Gracie to disappear. And Gracie wants Mom to come outside. So they're trapped in this stalemate. Like, please come outside. And Mom's saying, please come inside. So Gracie finally decides, I'm going to try to go inside. And she's trying and she can't. It's like she feels like there's a wind or something pulling her that won't let her reach the door. The mom runs to the door and opens the door, the screen door, and she starts reaching her hand out. Get my hand. And she just can't. She feels like it's like if she can't move, or it's just she's not strong enough to even move. Her muscles are so weak that she can't reach her mom's hand. Till finally this ship just starts to float away slowly, and so slowly until it disappears into the horizon, and Gracie's released and she's able to go inside. Now later on, Gracie's dad goes to a hypnotherapist to see if he can remember what happened during those lost 2 hours. What he starts to remember is, he says he remembers that he's at a place, and it seemed like it was a Hollywood made up studio where there's like a city in the middle of the desert, and it's all fake, because he said that he's running through it and he's busting through the doors and he's trying to get home. So he's running to these different doors in this little city. When he opens the doors, there's nothing behind this door, nothing but desert. And he keeps opening these doors and trying to get home. All of these doors, when he opens them, he just sees the other side. It's the desert. And he would see a light in his face, and he felt like he was lying down on a table, and that some beings were around him, and they kept talking to each other, and he couldn't understand their language, but he could feel or understand that they were saying, he's waking up, and that they were trying to put him to sleep. And again, he would go back into the dream. Like, they wanted him to feel like he was really somewhere, so that he wouldn't wake up, so that he would feel like he was comfortable. But he kept struggling to try to wake up. Next thing he remembered, he was back in his truck, driving home. So what do you think? Have you ever heard of anyone say that they had missing time and they didn't remember where they were? So remember, be careful, and if you want to be safe, you better get superstitious.